Welcome back to the Kiwi Odyssey channel. As you know, we last left off flying our way to Liverpool. Liverpool's an interesting city. That's Lucy in the Sky coffee shop there. It's got so many different buildings, built so many different ways, so many different architectural points to look at in the city. This is just one of them that we found. We did find a really cool little coffee shop that had yummy food, but the best coffee we've actually had in the 3 months that we've been gone. We did tell them that, and they said that their barista was from New Zealand. After that, we had a walk through St John's Gardens here, and they have a lot of memorials and statues to different war efforts that had been going on, not even necessarily for the Liverpool people, but they do love to pay tribute to the people that have been lost in wars and conflicts. And this one in particular actually is dedicated to those people that lost their lives at Hillsborough Stadium with the football match between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. There were 97 fatalities and 766 injuries. There was also a wedding going on that day as we walked on past. I don't know what it was, but there happened to be an awful lot of hens parties with people dressed up in funny colours and doing a cool hens party walk around Liverpool. We tried out the trains and the buses and had a good walk, and we found Chinatown in Liverpool. That was pretty cool. And it seems to be a thing in the UK with these booze bikes. They're pretty funny as they go around the streets. As always, there seems to be a lot of free museums to go see, which is fabulous. We went to the World Museum, and they had the Japanese spider crab. I didn't know it was a thing, with a leg span of up to 3.7 metres. I wouldn't want to be swimming with one of those. They had a lot of different artefacts from different countries. Like the Chinese would make these stunning pieces for the European market because it's what the Europeans would purchase. The detail that you come across in these things is just unbelievable. These little artifacts here, just gorgeous. One that I particularly enjoyed was the Native American site. I know that Mum would have loved that. Their headdresses are just so beautiful. She really loved the way they lived off the land and only took what they needed. This fascinating piece looked like a voodoo doll from the Congo, and actually it was, and because it had so many nails in it, it suggested that it was doing what it was built to do. And now the Egyptian section was from trying to read hieroglyphics to the tombs that they used to use to the statues that they had. Just crazily huge and amazing. I can't wait to actually go and visit Egypt. So there was one part called the mummy room. Now this does say that it contains human remains. This was out of this world. So this exhibit explained basically the mummification process. If you don't know, you should probably read up on it. It's quite fascinating to see what they would do, how they would do it, and the different variations of how they did it, and what sort of outcomes they got from it. They also believed that some animals could speak to the gods, so they would specifically breed some that they would then sacrifice and mummify to send their souls to the gods. The sarcophaguses that they used were done in different materials depending on the class of person. This next picture of the blue wine jar, I would say, would have been a huge archaeological puzzle to put together. There's just so much to explore in this great big world of ours, and I'm so looking forward to being able to get to travel around the world when the Odyssey is ready. Here's one of the buildings I don't like, but architecturally it still looks interesting. The older buildings are still, to my mind, way more stunning to look at. On our walk this evening, we came across this building called New Zealand House, and it was kind of funny to us that we found out that Hooters is actually inside that building. Moving on, we came across the Beatles statue that we got a photo of, so that was really cool. and the Mersey River, which is obviously in one of the Beatles songs. More about the Beatles later because we're going on the Magical Mystery Tour tomorrow. Once again, just so much history in one place. Coming from New Zealand, there's a lot to see and do. There was a really cool shop called the House of Spells, and it had a lot of different movie memorabilia in there. It was a really neat shop actually, with all sorts of things you just wouldn't find in normal mainstream shopping. Here's some different architecture. And I walked past these doors and they started opening as I was taking a photo. They even have a carousel. And maybe this will be our new houseboat. But all jokes aside, we're really only here because Villa Vie have given us the opportunity to go to other places while we're waiting for all of our compliances to be done, ticked off with DMV so we can actually sail away out of Belfast. I really love this photograph. It is all the different architecture in one spot. Here we go on the famous Magical Mystery Tour of the Beatles. We got to do some driving around and obviously went to Penny Lane, super famous, George Harrison's house where he was born, Strawberry Fields, that was there, John Lennon's house where he grew up, and obviously the McCartney house where Paul McCartney grew up as well. So we learned a bit of history on the Beatles, and obviously there's only so much of what they did in Liverpool, but this by far was the most amazing place of the whole tour. Is called the Cavern Club, and everybody who's famous has played here apparently, and all the memorabilia in this place. You walk down these stairs into a cavern, I guess, and there's a couple of places there and they have two bands running at exactly the same time, and they're not quiet, like super loud, but interestingly enough, in each section you can't hear the other band. I went to the loo, and while I was in the loo there was a list of the acts that are going to be playing in the Cavern Club, and I looked down the list, and who should I find? On the 6th of October, our very own Crowded House are going to be playing here, and on the list it says they are legends. They've got lots of originals and tribute bands, but our guys are legends. I totally agree. Now take a listen of this guy who does a rendition of the dueling banjos by himself. Crazy, eh? Did you know that John Lennon's first band was called the Quarrymen, and that's where Paul McCartney was introduced to him? All over these walls there are signatures and memorabilia. It's really hard to believe that this place was closed in 1973, so it was torn down in the 70s, but it was rebuilt again in the 80s using the same design and most of the original bricks. which is totally just as well, because basically what used to be a jazz club, it's where the Beatles ended up getting their musical identity from. It's a living piece of history that new artists now can play and say they've played where legendary artists have played also, and who knows, in the future they could also become legendary artists of their own time and be part of this famous place. So Liverpool has done this right. It's amazing. Even Mark Hamill has done this tour, and Adele has been here too. She probably sang. And the whole street is just a thriving place of music and people and history and nostalgia. We even found Cilla Black. She's also a Liverpool legend. So this is just incredible. I'm glad we came and I recommend it to everybody. On to other things. This looks photoshopped, but it's not. And my favourite piece of art is probably this weather vane on top of that building. The food trucks are pretty cool. Liverpool's a pretty colourful place, and why wouldn't you want to have an upside down house where you can walk on the ceiling and look up and find things at the top? They also have a cool piano where people can play, and this library was really fascinating. It's quite large, but the stunning room with this bookshelves and these ornate stairs. Gentleman's Magazine, never read one, but I'm sure that would have been fascinating. They've basically rejigged the library so that it is digital friendly, and it is utilised by a lot of residents here. Lots of people were there studying, reading, just utilising the library. I think they've done a fantastic job. This walkway up to the library was really cool. I wanted to reverse the video footage so that it was like us walking up to it, but didn't know how to do it. There is some red letters in these titles of books that also make up some sort of puzzle for people if they wish to work it out. So maybe you can look it up online and see if you can work out the puzzle too. Well, we've had a really awesome time in Liverpool, and it's time now for us to fly back to Belfast and check up on our ship. Now, while this is just a video for our archives really and references, feel free to subscribe if you want to follow what's going to be happening on the Villa Vie Odyssey. But for now, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.